So, just like we've been saying, we're talking about the recession. People have had their uh, incomes severely affected. What that resilient spirit of the Kenyan is what also emerged during this has emerged during this COVID-19 pandemic season. Small businesses have looked at what is the best thing I can do, and they've adapted and seen, all right, so let's go online. There are those that have gone online and basically just found a way to ride this disruption that has been brought about by COVID-19. So as Spice FM, we have decided let's partner with Google, and so that we can help open the doors to the opportunities that exist online for businesses willing to seize these free virtual tools that are available on Google's Grow 2.0 platform. And we have said that for the next couple of weeks, we'll be having a conversation with an expert from Google. And the expert is the SME lead for East Africa, Rosemary Momanyu-Pio. And she's also joining us now this morning. Good morning, Rosemary.
Good morning. How are you all doing today?
We are well, and it's good to see you.
Great. Good to see you as well.
So yesterday we looked at what's happening in the area of John. Do we still have Rosemary on the line? Just find out, and then we can continue the conversation. So we yesterday we looked at, all right, so Google has these tools that are available that can help you to get online, to put your business online, to make sure that then you can be found online. And we asked, what is that consumer journey? What is it that somebody goes through before they make the purchase? And Rosemary was explaining to us that how you actually, many of the consumers do, is you start with that trigger of, I need something. I need to buy a new phone, or I need to buy this or the other product or this service. Then you go online and you start doing your research. What is it that who offers this? And you also get in that phase of research, you're also comparing, seeing reviews and getting into other platforms, seeing what people are saying about this particular product or this particular provider of that product or service. And then you make your decision. All right, I'm going to settle with this provider. And you then make your purchase. You can either make your purchase online, or many in terms of this country make their purchase offline. So you'll just now call the provider and tell them, I've seen you and I've seen that you're selling this and the other, and I'd like, where are you located? Can I come and see it? Or can you deliver it to wherever I am? And this is what's happening. Now, how do you get yourself seen during that research phase? And that is what we will be discussing and seeing how we can help you get there. But first of all, let's also understand the internet landscape, because there are many people who will tell you, yeah, that is just for the young people who spend their time on the internet. But the other people like to go to shops to do their research. Maybe not. And that's why Rosemary now is going to give us a brief review of the landscape of Kenya in terms of digital usage. Rosemary, what do we see so far?
Yeah, so looking at the numbers, it's very quite interesting, Eric. So in terms of numbers, 53% of Kenyans currently are online, those who are 16 plus of age and older. And that's a big number from the last study that we did that was done about a few years ago. And when you look at the number of Kenyans currently now who actually own a smartphone, 92% of Kenyans own a smartphone. And that's broken down into three categories. 42% own real smartphones, right? 37% own a basic smartphone or a basic phone. And then 33% of them own a feature phone, the Mulika Mwizi type of phone. And then in summary, roughly 12.2 million Kenyans currently use the internet every single day. And that's a very important number there. Moving on in terms of how we access media, of course, you guys are the experts here. Radio number one is by far the most used platform based on the CAF study. But if you think about daily internet usage, it comes as a number two and a really big one for people who are able to come online and watch media online as well. And then I want to walk you through the typical demographics of the overall Kenyan user. So interestingly, 58% of them are male. And that's interesting. I'd like to get your thoughts on views on that one as well. 81% of them are between the age of 16 and 34 years of age. 41% of them are self-employed. And then a lot of them spend at least 6,000 shillings to pay for their average mobile phone. So I'm just going to pause there and see if you have any questions on those numbers. But interesting, what are your thoughts on the views of it being mostly skewed towards men versus women? I'd like to get your thoughts, Eric, and do as well on that data stat.
Let me ask the question, even since you have these demographics, of these demographics, how many women own smartphones and how many men own smartphones?
So we did a random survey just to kind of get an idea of the numbers. So in terms of the percentage, it's roughly 58% of the users who are online tend to be men. So the balance then would be women.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if I look at that balance, does it talk about usage or does it talk about ownership?
Those who are actually online, internet users.
Okay. But do you have data for people who actually share phones?
Well, we have been able to see that people, if you look at those who are in the lower demographic areas, they tend to have maybe one phone in the house and they share it. And that's normally people who are in the SE class that are in the lower segment. But those who are on the higher segments, they tend to have one phone or actually 1.5 phones per person.
Okay, this higher segment, what should we say are the indicators of that position that they have been placed in? What makes them higher? Is it their income? Is it their usage of the internet? What is it?
It's mostly their income level and their lifestyle.
All right. And so the income level would be at how much in terms of Kenya shillings per month?
We looked at roughly those who can actually afford a smartphone and those who can afford to spend about 6,000 shillings for a basic mobile phone.
Okay.
That's the indicator.
It's interesting to see that divide in terms of 58% of people who go online on a daily basis are male, and then the balance is the female, and also looking at then the ownership of a smartphone. Interesting to see that 82% of the people who go online, the male who go online, own a smartphone. That's a very high percentage. Correct. That means that the smartphone penetration in the country has really grown.
It has really grown. Exactly.
Are we able to then see beyond that now? Because I mean, if we're just, I'm trying to put it against the backdrop of more and more people going online to shop, or more and more people going online to present their businesses. So then assumption is that a lot of this is being done by the smartphone. Now, do we see, even with these high numbers, that people are using this online experience to go on and shop or to tend to their business?
That's a very good question. Let me go one slide forward and walk you through the response to that, what they spend their time online. So in terms of what they do there online, about 35% of them spend 5 minutes, 30 minutes online, and 34% spend 30 minutes to an hour online. And that's a lot of time spent a day online. And then you look at what they do online, to answer your question, So most of them visit social networks, as you know. So the regular Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, etc. Right. A lot of them use messaging apps. 71% of them use messaging apps, which is huge.
This is like WhatsApp and the others.
Exactly, like WhatsApp, exactly. And then 54% of them use search engines. 43% of them watch videos online. In terms of what they do, in terms of what the content, it's mostly news, sports, and weather.
Yep.
And then they have the new video chats, which is the next big category. And then using local apps and websites. For example, like your banking app would be one, or Jumia could be another one, local apps and websites. And then your point here is about looking for product information. So that is also quite big. 24% look for info about that. I'm looking for a smartphone. What's the effect behind that? Mm-hmm. They listen to music online. They play games online. They check maps and directions. Mm-hmm. And then they purchase products and services online. So that's what they spend their time doing in that order. To answer your question.
Okay. Talk about demographics again. Can you divide these groups into age?
Yes, so that's a good question. So right now, if I could just take you back one more point there, the bulk of them are between 16 to 34 years of age. That's 16. The bulk of the users, 16 to 34 years of age, right? And this will change when I talk about YouTube in a few minutes. Yes.
So 16 to 34, that's the majority that's online. And then what is the next big category?
The next big category now in terms of usage is now 34 plus.
Yep.
And then, of course, 45 plus.
Okay. What's also is emerging as interesting, and I've seen in that slide on what the person is actually doing when they're spending their time online on a daily basis. Like you've said, number one thing is that they're going onto social media. There's also business that's happening on social media. Are you able to capture and tell what exactly they're doing on social media, or do you just know that they're online, but they're on the social media platforms? This could be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and the rest.
Yeah, it's more that they're online on those social media sites. We can't really tell exactly what they're doing.
Okay.
But when they go into YouTube, they're able to tell that they're able to spend a lot of time watching news, listening to sports highlights, recap, and of course the weather. And also what's also quite big is entertainment and comedy. I'll walk you through that in a few seconds as well.
There's something that also you mentioned there, that is there's a 14% e-commerce penetration. Just explain that as well.
Right. So a lot more Kenyans right now are spending time buying things online. Apps like Jumia have made that very possible. Our big partners like Safaricom are enabling that to mobile payments, and of course Airtel as well as Telcom. So allowing us to be able to conduct payments is very important. So people are able now to place an order and be able to receive products online. And if you're a merchant, you're able now to receive payments coming through to you from these mobile payment platforms. So because of that, now we're able to have a growth in e-commerce, which allows people to be able to conduct businesses online. Before it was quite tough because we're not really much a credit card company or country, if I can use that word. But with mobile payment enabling us to be able to receive and make payments, we're seeing a real huge growth in e-commerce penetration, both from a merchant perspective as well as from a user perspective as well.
Is this the
There's
definition?
more trust.
Sorry, is the definition of e-commerce only restricted to what we know as e-commerce? That there's an e-commerce platform, say like the Jumias and the rest, or does it also include when you advertise your goods online and then people ask and you make the purchase offline? For example, going onto social media using the messaging apps. We know very many people who will advertise or market their products and services through WhatsApp groups or through some groups, closed groups or open groups on Facebook, for example. Is that also included in the 14%?
Not really. So e-commerce is more around being able to receive and make payments. But then what you're talking about is more of a marketplace where you're able now to put your products on WhatsApp and then be able to advertise them on your various social media platforms. But when you go to the next step of now, I've put my products online, they're now visible, and I'm not able to sell and receive payments. Now you go into now that transaction of e-commerce and being able to now be able to be seen as a person who's doing e-commerce online by being able to make and receive payments. That's the big distinction.
Okay. Check us through video. You said you still had some data on video and video usage.
Yeah. So in terms of video, people are quite active on video in Kenya, and 60% of them use YouTube daily, weekly, or monthly. And that's quite a big number for Kenya. We are quite active on YouTube. On demographics, which is quite interesting for me, which is the fact that on YouTube specifically, 67% of the users are men, and 33% of the users are female. On age group, 52% of them are between 18 and 24 years of age. 43% of them are between 25 and 44 years of age. And then 45 years of age and older are only 5%. So I'll pause there and just have you just digest that information. It's quite interesting.
What are they doing as what kind of videos do we know? The kind of videos that, for example, the men are watching, and what kind of videos the women are watching, or even the 45 years and above? This 5% videos are they watching?
So there's only 3 big categories in Kenya that are quite big. Number 1 is music, which I'm sure you know is that demographic.
Yep.
Number 2 is, it's mostly music. 69% is mostly music. 39% is comedy, so people love to laugh, and of course, which we all enjoy. And then 33% is news. So there's 3 main categories. So you understand why it's heavily skewed towards men. Comedy, news, and then music. So women would tend to be more around maybe music, some comedy, but also a lot of how-to videos are also watched a lot by women.
Okay.
And lifestyle content.
What does this information then mean or translate to somebody who's thinking, I mean, I have a business and I'd like to tap into an online audience. How then does this information relate to them?
Yeah, so it's good to know that people are actually online, because people were wondering who is online, what are they doing. Now it's confirmed they are Kenyans who are online. They are Kenyans who are doing e-commerce. The skew might be more skewed towards men, but women are also online as well. So if you're a merchant, if you're a business owner, it's so important to you to remember that there is an online audience and they come daily, whether it's to search for your products, to watch your content, to research product information before they make a purchase. So if you're a business owner, it's important for you to be able to engage and be found on those various platforms, because that's where people will be able to come, engage, and find you.
And those that search come online and they're searching for business specific information. What do they look for?
Yeah, so that's a good question, actually, Eric. So two things. One is there's been a growth of about 180% of such as of where to buy a product or where to find a service. So those queries are growing by 180% every single quarter, which is quite big. That means people are looking for where they can find info, whether it's your product or it's your service. There's also been a 52% rise in subjects that include near me, like we said before, plumber near me or restaurant near me. So if you're a merchant and you have a restaurant or you're a plumber, you're providing a service, people will be looking for those near me queries. And so you must be there to be found by them as they look for you in this space.
Right. Okay. So just what you're saying, it now points to then the necessity, we can call it a necessity, but then the importance then for businesses who are in this space. And when I talk about this space, I mean where you're being looked for.
Yeah.
Necessary then for you then to be in the online space, because these are the searches that people are naturally inclined to. These are what people are looking for anyway. So if then you would want yourself to pop up in the results of their search, then you would want to be in this space. Can you give some pointers towards that, to say the importance then of being in a space where people are looking anyway?
Yes. Number one, be found. To make it easy for people to find you. So, number one, I'll just say, have a business profile. Number two, have a website. Number three, where possible, if you're able to have video content, engage, put it out there. If it's about product reviews, make sure you ask for them, because that will help you rise up on those queries. So 3 points. Have a business profile, have a website, encourage people to review you to help you rise up on those results.
Rosemary, we thank you very much for joining us today. Of course, we'll be speaking with you tomorrow, same time,
Yes.
from 9 a.m. Rosemary is the Google expert. She's a resident Situation Room Google expert. She is the SME lead for East Africa, helping us to get to understand the online marketplaces, how to get your business online, how then you can take advantage of very many free tools that are available via Google. Many people don't know about them, and she'll be telling us about them as we progress. First of all, it's just trying to understand, okay, so who's this who goes online anyway? Why do I need to be online? Tomorrow, Rosemary, what do you want to tell us about?
Trends in Kenya. Mm-hmm. What are the rising queries? What are the rising searches? How can you access these tools? They're all available to you for free at your fingertips. So I'll walk you through the trends and how to use them.
Asante sana. So we look forward to having this conversation with you again. Thank you very much, Rosemary Momanyi Pio.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.